Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi wa kafa, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we have reached Ayah 41. Before we begin, I just wanted to say very quickly, it may be worth your while to purchase the current copy, the 19th of March 2011 New Scientist magazine. This issue is a really brilliant issue. It deals with the history, how 10,000 years of civilization have reshaped our bodies. And it causes problems for them because it deals with the fact that humans have adapted to their environment very quickly and that they have all of the self-contained organs to do that. And it's caused them to have to say, well, there must have been some link previous to them because there's unexplained so-called evolutionary processes at place. Megaquakes. I discussed this in the khutbah earlier on Friday about the difference between megaquakes and minor quakes and conjunction and all these other things. It may be something of benefit if you enjoy those type of topics, but this particular issue is very good. Almost every article in there is really quite a page turner. So it may be something worthy of your time. We are going to now begin switching gears with Ayah 41 of Surat Al-Baqarah. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he starts by saying, quote, "So we look at the words of the Exalted One when he has said, وَآمِنُوا بِمَا أَنزَلْتُ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا مَعَكُمْ وَلَا تَكُونُوا أَوَّلَ كَافِرٍ بِهِ وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِآيَاتِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا وَإِيَّايَ فَاتَّقُونِ وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ." And so the Exalted One has said, and believe in what I have sent down as a clarifier to what is with you, and do not be the first of those to disbelieve in it, and do not sell my signs for a paltry price, and remember me and fear me. So the Exalted One, when he says, and believe in what I have sent down to you, it's referring to the Qur'an, which is a testifier or clarifier to what's with you, meaning the Torah and the Injil. For indeed the Qur'an clarifies and testifies that they are from Allah and agrees with them in the description of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And do not be the first to disbelieve in it. So this means it is only saying the first kafir. Don't be the first kafir to come about because of this. Because the first one who began the kufr is greater in kufr than those who came after that followed him. And one who has a careful mind will not fail to consider the proof. Indeed, the one who began showing stubbornness and flagrant disobedience, his condition is worse than the one that came after that followed him. Some have said that do not be the first to disbelieve in it, meaning after they believed it. This statement is actually directed towards the leaders of the Jewish people. Now, there are 2 points regarding the statement bihi, in it. What is the ha referring to? Do not be the first to disbelieve in it. The it is in one position referring to that which was sent down, as stated by Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma. And secondly, it is referring to that which is with them, because they concealed the description of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam while he was among them, and so they disbelieved in him. And this has been discussed by Az-Zujaj. Close quote. Now this is a very quick important point. When the Imam is saying that it testifies and agrees in the description of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is what that ayah is referring to. that the Qur'an clarifies that which was sent down before you. Allah is not saying that everything in the Qur'an is in agreement with all of what the children of Israel and what the Christians have, because their books have been corrupted. As we have in the Hadith in Bukhari, as we have in the Hadith of Sahih Al-Jami', that the children of Israel have corrupted and changed their book and replaced it with another book. So that Hadith shows us that their books are corrupt, but what we're talking about that's in place is the description of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, often what's happened is Christian missionaries have read these and said, oh, this is referring to that it's in agreement with the whole book. And this is a problem for them, because once we go to the commentary literature, we say, no, this is actually talking about the agreement that there is between the books that the Jews have, the books that the Christians have, and the Qur'an in the description of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is what is being referred to. And he says that the ayah, don't be the first to disbelieve in it, is directed towards the leadership of the Jewish people. Because the rabbis, the Tana'im, the scholars and scribes, the Sofarim, those who write down their scrolls, know this. So when you deal with and look at texts, like for example, the Jewish, it's called the Jewish Companion, and it's a book written by a scholar of Judaism. And in there, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is mentioned as a prophet, but it's prefaced, the statement, by saying only to the Arabs. In the Jewish Encyclopedia, there are numerous passages, and then they refer to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as a specific prophet to the Arabs, but not to the Jews. A specific prophet to the Gentiles, but not to the Jews. They accept that. So this is directed to their heads, that he is a prophet to you as well. Don't disbelieve in him because you have him written among you in your books. Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he then says after this, quote, and so the Exalted One says, and do not sell my signs for a paltry price, and remember to have fear and righteousness regarding me. This ayah means, so do not replace, do not change my signs for a paltry price. There are three things that this is referring to. One is that not replacing it for a paltry price is referring to what they're going to do by taking money from the earthly life for them. And secondly, it's referring, the paltry price being referred to is their leadership over the Jews. And thirdly, they're taking a wage for teaching the religion. Close quote. Now this is a very important point here. Taking a paltry price. There is a difference of opinion among the fuqaha regarding the licitness of selling mushafs. You will find some Muslim bookstores that you go to and the mushafs will be free. They won't sell them, because they believe, based on this ayah, that it's haram to sell the mushaf and that it's haram to charge a price for teaching Qur'an. They believe it's haram because the speech of Allah, no price can be put on it. Some are saying, on the other end of the spectrum, that no, it's not haram because we're not charging for the speech of Allah, but to pay for the pages of the book, the ink, the writing, and so forth, and the shipping costs. So we're only paying the wholesale prices to bring them here. So if you ever go to a shop and you find they either don't have mushafs or they have no prices on their mushafs, part of the reason for that is because they do not take the understanding that it is valid to sell mushafs, because to them it is tantamount to selling the speech of Allah, and they come under the judgment of that ayah. Those that do sell mushafs will say, no, because we're not selling the mushafs for a paltry price. We're only dealing with wholesale costs. Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he says, quote, then the Exalted One says, and do not clothe truth with falsehood, and you are concealing the truth while knowing so. In this ayah, the word talbisu, clothe, means to mix. So it means do not mix truth with falsehood. And so someone can say, the matter has become mixed up, meaning clothed or covered over. The matter has been mixed. And their mixing truth with falsehood is when they said, indeed Allah has made a covenant with us that we are to believe in the unlettered prophet to come. But he did not mention that he's from the Arabs. And this is from their folly. Indeed, the intent of the truth that they were covering is the matter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as mentioned by Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Qatada, Abu al-Aliya, As-Sudai, and Muqatil. Secondly is that they were concealing Islam, as stated by Al-Hasan. The Exalted One has said, and so establish the prayer and give the zakah. The intent of establishing prayer in this context is the 5 daily prayers. And so when it mentions establish the prayer, it is referring to all the prayers as a whole. Zakah is taken from the word zakat, which is to purify or get blessing. And the increase linguistically means that the crops are increased by an increase of water or vegetation given to them. Al-Anbari has said, the meaning of zakah in the Arabic language is an increase, an added benefit. And this is why zakah has been given the name it has, because it is an increase in the wealth when you take that wealth out of it. It actually causes your wealth to increase and gives it bounty and purifies it from blemishes and mistakes. One can say, using the root word of zakah, this is pure, هذا أزكى من ذاك, meaning this is more pure, greater in increase than the other thing. Close quote. So what the Imam is saying in this passage is that zakah has to do with the fact that the zakah in the wealth that you take out of it will increase and cause the wealth that you have to increase. Now, some people, when they give zakah, sometimes think that, oh, I've had to remove 2.5%, my wealth has decreased. No, it hasn't. Because when you remove the zakah, that actually causes your wealth to increase, because you're taking out of that wealth, giving what Allah has told you to give, and it purifies, takes blemishes out of the wealth, adds barakah to the wealth, adds favor to the wealth, and then it increases. Anyone who has a sufficient amount of money and gives a lot of charity can see that. Particularly with the case of Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he gave all of his money that he had in charity for the sake of Islam and helping the believers learn and so on and so forth. And when he came to Medina, in a matter of a couple of months in the market, he made it all back and double that. The same thing happened to Suhaib al-Rumi when they took his money from him. He wants to leave Mecca and they froze his assets. We think this only happens now, but they froze his assets and said, we won't allow you to go. You came with us, a poor white tramp. And now you seek to leave us to go with the slaves and the lowest of people. You will go, but without your money. So he said to them, you may keep my wealth, and left. And when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ heard of this, when he arrived, he said, Suhaib has won. Suhaib has won. And people wanted to give him charity, and he said, I don't want your charity. Show me where the market is. And he made all of that money back. And when the conquest of Mecca happened and the assets were unfrozen, now he had double, triple his normal wealth. So zakah gives an increase in your wealth. It doesn't take away from it. The Imam, rahimahullah, he then says, quote, and the Exalted One has said, and bow down with those who bow down. This means to pray with those who pray. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh has said that this is a command referring to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the companions radiallahu anhum. It's also said that it's called in this ayah ruku', bowing down, is referring to salah, because in the salah of the Jews there is no ruku'. Now the ayah is speaking to the Jews.